Hello, my name's Darren. Along with the family, I'm part of Kairos Church. And I was struck, I saw one of Ben's emails recently encouraging people to have a think about, has God been speaking to you in any way? And do you maybe want to share that with the church family? And I just thought I'd just share with you just a brief little image that I had a couple of weeks back. I was privileged enough to have a holiday abroad. We were in Sicily, and one evening I was just sort of sitting by the swimming pool. It was sort of kind of dusk, sort of the sun was going down, and it was just sort of beautiful and peaceful. And whilst I was sitting there, I could see quite a few sort of very small birds swooping past and just having a little dip of water as they swept past. I don't know my birds. I don't know if they're sparrows or starlings or what they are, so apologies for that. But yeah, it was just this, and I don't know how many there were either. I couldn't tell if there were just 2 or 3 doing this, or whether there was 7 or 8, because whether it was the same 2 or 3 that kept doing it, or whether it was more. But it wasn't huge numbers. It was just really a few, and he kept swooping by. And there was just, for me, I love a little image there, really. We talk a lot in church, and we're talking again recently about water, about springs of water, about wells of water, about living water. There's biblical imagery about, come to me all who thirst, and they say the living water imagery and all the rest of it, and springs and all this sort of thing. And I just thought, watching these birds, there was just a couple of things that came to mind. One thing was just the absolute extravagance and the abundance of God. And, he's got far more than we need or could ask. These tiny birds, say at most 7 or 8, but actually if many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of these birds turned up at the same time, there still would have been enough water for them all. They're tiny birds, a massive swimming pool, and so basically there was no shortage. They could take all that they needed, and it just wouldn't make a difference, or a visible difference to what was there in the pool. And I thought there was something there about us, just kind of our relationship with God, and how much He has, and His generosity and His goodness. Whatever we need, He is far, far more than we could need or ask or want. And just something there about His provision, and about His, how He can satisfy our thirst. And then just another second image was, I kept watching these birds, and quite often they would zoom along really close to the waters, to the water, and then just very quickly take a little dip and then kind of go out. But it was all kind of keep going. And I kept watching, and I'm sure there were a few times that some of these birds didn't even get the water. They just went low and then went up again. And so I was sort of quite struck with that, because I kind of thought, I wonder how often perhaps, we're really close to receiving from God, but don't quite reach out. And I just think that perhaps there's encouragement there for us to not give up. Some of these birds may have zoomed past and not got what they needed, whereas actually it was there just for the taking, but they kept on going, and they didn't dip down and get the water. So maybe there's just something there for us, and perhaps somebody listening, hopefully that can speak to the generosity of God. He's got more than we need to quench our thirst. And also, perhaps also, He's closer than we think, and that kind of breakthrough and that receiving from Him is closer than we think. I hope that's helpful to some people. God bless. Thank you.